everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of Indies Nutz Podcast. That's right. The Indies Nuts. That's you, that's me, that's Andy, that's Matt. We are just nuts about indie games, and this is your show to get all of the indie news, previews, reviews, and everything that you need to know about indie games. The show posts each and every week for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice. If you are here and downloaded this episode thinking that you were going to get Faction Wars episode 15, sorry about it. Nope, that show's gone. It is now Indie Nuts on this server, on this feed. And we're going to have an absolute blast with you. And if you like what you're about to listen to or like what you hear, please consider supporting us on Patreon so that we continue to get more guests on the Dualscreens podcast, so we continue to do more games coverage on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DualscreensTV, and just everything under the sun. We need your help doing it. So go to patreon.com/NDS podcast, just like our Patreon producers, Colton the Apprentice Nestler and FNH Paul. We cannot continue to grow without all of your support, and we want to thank all of you new patrons since our PAX East coverage. Thank you so much for coming in and giving us your hard-earned money, and welcome to the Discord and all that fun stuff. But folks, enough of the rigmarole, enough of the nonsense, enough of the mishmash here, Andy. Okay,
I'm gonna give you that one time to say it. Indies Nuts. It's the first episode. I'll allow it one time, but that's got to go away.
Nope.
I think
that's the name of the show, Andy.
No, the name can nuts. The delivery.
Well, see, that's the pun. It's a double entendre, as it were.
I get it. Yes.
Andy, we're going to start Indies Nuts podcast with something that I'm calling What's New on Dualscreens. And Dualscreens has been doing... We've been doing just an asinine amount of work lately. You have been doing crazy amount of work. I've been editing, writing. You've been writing and recording demos. And Matt even wrote a thing once.
I did. I wrote a thing.
The three of us went to PAX East with Miss Envy, who we want to say hello to in the chat. Thank you, Miss Envy, for being here and helping us on PAX East. But what do we got on Dualscreens.com? What's new? What's been going on Dualscreens, Andy?
Dude, we have so many hands-on previews. I feel like I'm backlogged on should I get to write about. It's going to be 2 weeks tomorrow since PAX East happened.
Yeah. And
I still have like 6 articles in my mind brewing that I've promised people that I'm going to write. So that's happening. So you can go there right now and see some sweet hands-on preview shit for games like Cult of the Lamb, Curse to Golf, Turbo Overkill, courtesy of Matthew over here.
Well, actually, I'm happy you mentioned that. I want to actually, this is what I want to do here. I want you to pitch one of your favorite pieces that you wrote and or produced. Oh, man. And I want you to tell people to go and find it. And then, Matt, I want you to do the same.
Okay.
This is like a 2-for-1 special right now.
A 2-for-1?
Yes. Cult of the Lamb. Because I have a full hands-on written preview of the game. Plus, on our YouTube channel /DualscreensTV on youtube.com is the full demo of the PAX East build that I played start to finish, which I got delivered in my email courtesy of Devolver, because they were like, the game's too popular, the lines are crazy, sorry, here's the build, have fun in your underwear at your own pleasure at home and have a great time. And that's
we looked at your numbers. You're not worth having an appointment with.
Yeah, which, in my head I was like, but it's a timed demo.
Yeah.
So the appointment was locked in, and there's no one that would like overstay there because like the time runs out.
Right.
It's actually a 20-minute demo.
Yeah.
So it ends 10 minutes prior to the appointment actually ending. So not gonna question it. Not going to question
Don't
it.
question
Wasn't it better just sitting in your house?
It was, because I was able to play it without someone like, go here, go there, press this to do that. So that was all gone. And I could capture gameplay, which I've learned does numbers on YouTube, apparently. People like watching just pure gameplay of things. So
never mind that they could play that themselves.
Well,
actually not that one, but yes.
For the pitch, for why the game is so great. So it is a roguelike top-down dungeon crawler, a la Enter the Gungeon. And I might piss off Matt with this.
You shut up.
I think it's gonna be better than Binding of Isaac.
Don't.
He's making a face because he has a big man boner for.
That makes me feel gross inside.
Huge man boner.
Huge.
Gigantic intro, I guess.
Huge.
Well, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
So the basic idea is you are a little tiny baby lamb who did some shit that we don't know about, and these evil like culty lords are like, we're gonna sacrifice you because there's a prophecy we're gonna prevent from happening because you're involved somehow. So it's like, boom, you're dead, and you go like afterlife. And some god's like, that's fucked up, bro. You got done dirty. You should like totally go back with all my power and just slay all the heretics in my name.
Hell yeah.
So he sends you back with like a blade and you go start killing people.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's fun.
That's a video game right there.
But the best part,
As a lamb, right?
yes.
Yeah.
As a lamb. The best part about the game is you can actually start and build your own cult of followers.
Yes.
And that's the other half of the gameplay. So as you're playing the game, you'll rescue other like foxes and other woodland creatures that are like either kidnapped or former bosses. You can also recruit to your team after you've beaten them, and you can make them part of your cult, and you can assign them tasks like, hey, chop this tree down or mine that rock for stone, and you can gather minerals and resources and build shit like an actual town with like a little fire pit to cook food. Food's the main thing to keep your cultists happy and loyal when you feed them. Yeah. When you feed them. And listen, it like brings the Charles Manson out of you in the most wonderfully adorable way possible.
Yes, because that's what we all need. We need a little Charles Manson brought out of us.
Right, exactly.
Thanks, video games.
So it's super cute. It's super diabolical. It's a lot of fun, and it's out, I think, this summer. No date yet, but it's also an upcoming guest on the Dualscreens podcast. So a lot of plugs in this one little game. So
now, Andy, is this this one of our best of show? That's correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah. A lot of awesome roguelikes at PAX East, but this one like really got me because it was like it's got some blood. It got it's like Happy Tree Friends, and Wicker Man had a baby.
So, okay.
Is it like it's like a roguelike and a sim colony?
Yeah.
Like a survival colony? That's
so
really
when
cool.
you do the dungeon run and you like clear the level and the boss, you go back to your little camp cult site and you assign tasks to your new recruits, and you can like forge along with them or just be like, hey, do X, Y, and Z for me. And you just use the shit to build little chunks of like
crazy
fire pits or housing or God knows what when the final game comes up. It's like, it's like classic sim grid structure. You just plop shit down, and the guy's like, they hammer away.
Wow,
that's
really cool.
It's so cute. Great.
I just want you to know that
Great
I am
soundtrack.
going to personally hold you responsible if I don't like it more than the Binding of Isaac.
Wow.
I may have to unfriend
Personally
you if you
responsible.
don't like it. No. Listen, I know that game is very special to you. You're a huge Ed McMillan fan, so
That is true.
Yeah,
Matt.
I'm not gonna fault you for that.
Moving along here now, you awarded a best of show.
It's true.
And why don't you tell everybody about that one?
So, the one article I've written for Dualscreens in the past 10 and a half years is a hands-on preview for a game called Turbo Overkill. This is like a homage to the great 90s shooters that you probably spent way too much time playing when you were a kid, the ones that your mom didn't want you playing at all, that you had to hide in several folders on your computer so that your parents didn't know that you were playing it. Limbs, bloods, guts, all over the place. It's fantastic. But I think what really does it for me is the speed of the game. You have these fantastic knee saws that are binded to the same key as your slide, and you will just slide through like these giant swarms of enemies, and they just all die in this wonderful rain of blood and guts and glory, and it's fantastic. It's frenetic, it's frantic, it keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time you're playing it. You're jumping around like crazy. It is just everything that I love about Twitch shooters, boiled down to a nice little package of fun Tony Hawk murder that I never thought that I needed until right now.
This was also, I think, the happiest accident at PAX East, because Matt had seen a game called Beneath the Stone that was in the same booth by Apogee, who was hosting all these little games that were Turbo Overkill was. And we were like, Steve, go play this game. And then we saw one of our friends, Kyle, who works for, I forget which PR firm. Don't hate me, Kyle. By the way, I hope you're feeling better, because he got COVID after. He got COVID during PAX.
Feel better, Kyle.
He was like, come in the tent. We got some more shit back here. And we saw this game, and then Matt was like, Andy, what is this game? Andy, I think I'm in love with this game.
I literally, I saw it for maybe 10 seconds on the bigger screen, and I knew it was a me game. The speed, the blood, the guts, the guns, the soundtrack, everything. It was just fantastic. Yeah, so Steve was playing another game that I'm sure was really fantastic, but I will tell you right now that I would not have enjoyed that game nearly as much as I did Turbo Overkill, and you should all look out for it, because it's going to be fucking fantastic.
And it's out in early access right now too.
It's out in early access.
You can actually go, and there's a demo.
You can go. You can go kill in Turbo mode.
I would be lying to you if I told you I didn't play it more than 1 million times already. I've replayed levels so many times to try to get it faster and better. It's so good. It's so good.
Well, speaking of Tony Hawk meets, would you say Tony Hawk meets what? Murder. This isn't the game that I'm going to spotlight, because I haven't written the article just yet. But there's literally a Tony Hawk meets murder game called Gory Cuddly Carnage, where you are on a hoverboard that has laser blades coming out of it, and you literally just chop up unicorn toys into bloody pieces. So
how did I miss this?
I don't know what you were doing, but the interview is up on our YouTube. I believe it is edited. I don't know if it's up yet. It is up. Okay, so the interview with the developer is up. It's posted.
And you like the tweet.
And, okay,
of course I did.
Because, but I don't know what I'm liking.
Yeah, listen, man. Everything that we put out, I'm liking and resharing. All right,
You're so good at that.
Double it out to anywhere I can.
Just Dualscreens, heart recycle.
Literally.
So yeah, it's basically a whatever. I don't want to get into it because I didn't write the article yet, but I will be writing that article like tonight or tomorrow, whatever. But the game I do want to spotlight is a game that I cannot spotlight enough. It is two of my favorite things on earth smashed together, and it's made by some of our favorite people on earth, and one of our favorite human beings to ever grace his presence on Dualscreens, and is, personal friend of mine, is doing like 30 to 70 voices in the game. That's Wrestle Quest. Wrestle Quest is the JRPG fever dream of 9-year-old Steve playing with my wrestler toys, and just it's perfect. It's so amazing. So what this game is there's it's kind of the art style is like toys, but that's not what they are, which is weird because there was a time where the game was based on like toys and like a toy world. But this is a Mexican wrestler who really thinks wrestling is real. Like, he takes it super seriously ever since he was a kid. And he basically goes on and does missions and to try and get other wrestlers over and to kind of rise up the ranks. But it's got JRPG combat where you have 3 different types of attacks. You have like a normal like wrestling move attack. Then you have your gimmick attacks, which are like your special moves. Then you have taunts, which will help weaken opponents, make them easier to take out. But there's a special 4th one that I didn't get to see yet, but they did tell us about, which are your summons. Because what's a JRPG without a summons?
Of course. And
the summons that you summon are former or pro wrestlers of yesteryear. One of them, the one that they did mention first and foremost, is Jake the Snake Roberts, who you will summon and he will come in and DDT your opponents. There is a pinning mechanic, so you can't actually just win a battle against important opponents. You have to actually physically pin them with a little timing mini game, which I think it needs a little bit of work, if I'm being honest, because I just couldn't fucking pin the guy. It took me like 9 tries to pin like some jobber. Henchmen in fights,
Steve, I'm sorry.
Shut up, you're bad. Henchmen in fights will go to 0 and they'll be knocked out and they're fine. But like then there's boss fights, and before the boss fights you can cut promos, which is basically like your dialogue tree, and you try and lower their morale with cutting promos on them, and then which is basically just like schoolyard insults, which is hilarious.
That is so neat.
It's awesome. And this is the part that confused me. I had no idea that this was a thing that was happening, but Matt, you may know that, you definitely know this person, but Andy, there's a podcast, basically godfather for professional wrestling podcasts, called Conrad Thompson. We actually advertised on one of his podcasts a couple of months ago.
Oh, yes.
He's got 30 podcasts, all with wrestling related.
That invoice.
Yes.
Very well.
And he's in the game and he's doing a podcast, and I forget what the context of it is, but basically it's like Double J, Jeff Jarrett, who was at PAX, by the way, and we met, hung out with, chatted with, and just hung out with, which was
all around great dude.
Hung out.
Sweet, genuine human being, that guy.
Yeah. He when I made eye contact with him, he was like, "Oh, hey, man," like he knew me. I'm like, "Wait, me?" But he was with James, so maybe James was like, "Oh, that's good. That's a really awesome dude who's got a fragile ego, so be nice to him." I don't know. I mean, that could be what he said.
Like the best description of you I've ever heard.
So I love to imagine that is what other people describe you as when they you can't hear them. Like, hey, just be careful.
I need to
great guy,
that
fragile ego.
when I introduce you to people.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm getting in the weeds here, but there's Andre the Giant, Macho Man Randy Savage, Double J Jeff Jarrett. I think I saw Virgil on the cup. No, Coco Beware. That's who it was. Coco Beware.
Junkyard Dog. Right?
Junkyard Dog.
Yep.
Just the Road Warriors I believe were on. Right, they were on the cover too.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's like all.
No, I know it's like blending together. I actually remember Junkyard Dog because I think I saw a statue of him.
That's
when they showed.
I think that's the first. Yeah, the overall, like that's the closest one. So these pro wrestlers of yesteryear, they have these like monuments in the game. They're these huge monuments, and they have their own little like they have their own world. Basically, they're like the overworld, and you go to their like section. So Junkyard Dogs is like the junkyard. It's like a bunch of trash everywhere or whatever. But you do their quest lines, I'm assuming, to unlock them as a summon. But like, here's the kicker. Pro wrestling is all about storylines, and not everybody's a hero. So you actually have the ability to be a heel, which is a bad guy, Andy.
Yes.
And affect the story negatively, basically just like become the champion and like screw everybody over as you're fighting, going through the stories. Tons of side stories that you can do. It's a love letter to JRPGs and a love letter to professional wrestling, a love letter to 80s and 90s action figures. It's beautiful, beautiful sprite work. Absolutely breathtaking animations with the sprite work. And our friend Patrick Hickey Jr. is doing literally every voice in the game. When you get introduced to the ring, he's the ring announcer. He does Macho Man. He's everybody. He does everything. And we love it very much. And that's the game I want to highlight.
I'm actually really excited to hear his impression of Jacob Snake'em.
Jacob Snake'em.
Is that like the nickname for Jake the Snake Roberts?
Matt's just saying words.
No, it's really funny how like I had family growing up who were obsessed with wrestling. They were like the pure marks for wrestling.
Wow, look at you using wrestling word.
I know a term.
Yeah, good job.
I know a term. And I could not care less about it. But I know like Jake the Snake,
Jacob Snake'em,
Andre the Giant. I know these people. So like
Andreas the Gigantes.
When I was talking,
like that one.
yes, you have no idea. When
Andy, what country is Andre the Giant from?
Andy, what are you talking about, my friend?
You were saying, Steven? What did you say?
What country was Andre the Giant from?
I don't fucking know.
Greece, right?
France.
France.
It was like definitely some like European country.
Yeah.
I kind of thought Eastern Europe.
Everybody want the peanut?
But it's
yeah,
funny how like I know these characters. Like
Yeah.
I was talking to James Deegan, who's the head of Megacat Studios, developer for the game. How even a non-fan like me can identify with these iconic wrestling characters, and I'm drawn to it, and I want to play it, and it looks. And you add the JRPG elements, it's like instant selling point.
That's the thing, and I want to make this abundantly clear.
Yeah.
These aren't JRPG elements. This is a
Right.
JRPG.
Yes,
It's a JRPG.
Yeah.
It's a wrestling game. The thing it has elements of are like toys. Like that's the
Right.
element, because like the actual art, like you could see like the joints of like what a toy would have. But other than that, like it's fucking awesome.
Right.
Like it's or whatever. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's get into the
I
indie news
loved it
report.
too. For if it's worth anybody, worth anything to anybody, it was fantastic.
Indeed. Let's get into the indie news report. One of the games that we had our eyes on was fully funded. Well, not fully. It was fully funded, but they did not hit a couple of stretch goals. But the game Critter Crops was fully funded, ready to go. I believe you could wishlist this right now if you wanted to. Yes, you can. You can wishlist it on Steam. It is coming to Nintendo Switch. They unlocked that goal. They got, what else did they get? The Critter Barn, which is where I guess you could host all your critters. But let me give you a little rundown of what this game is, okay?
Switch port.
So they got the Switch port. It's coming.
Yeah, baby.
So you could play a demo. If you go to their Kickstarter, there's a demo link. I don't think that's on Steam. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'll just click it and see where it takes me. It does take you to Steam. Okay, so they do have a Steam demo. I thought it was an itch.io demo, but so Critter Crops is an isometric farming adventure RPG where you cultivate cute critters and use their abilities to explore the world of Mutter Island, a mysterious Halloween-themed place that is known for its connection to magic and the secrets behind it. So
mystical.
you got your farming, you got your RPG, adventure RPG stuff. You got your monster taming / cultivating, kind of like Monster Harvest. If you play that game, that was a game I played a little bit, both for Dualscreens and Batchild.
Does the farming seem more Stardew or Harvest Moon? When you look at it, which way does it swing?
Hard to tell.
It's a
Or
little
does
of
it go both ways?
It's a little of both because the art is very unique. That's
Yeah.
like the big selling point of it. But it's more of an adventure, and it looks like it's hand drawn. Everything's hand drawn, animated.
Oh.
It looks like a storybook. But it looks like it might be a little bit more Stardew,
Okay.
like physical farming is involved here. But I have not played the demo, but it is on my list of games to play. So maybe we'll make a video of this one to let people know they should go out and play it. What else we got? Oh, this one was something that who put this in there? I think it was Matt. I think you put this in.
I did.
So why don't you just go over this one, because I actually didn't get too into it.
Yeah, so I forget exactly when this game was announced, The Wandering Village, but so there's a demo coming out soon on Steam, and this is a game where you build a colony. It's a colony builder, but you build it on the back of this giant beast, and there's a lot of the normal trappings, it seems like, of that sim builder type thing, but there's an added layer of trying to keep the beast that you're riding on alive, and you'll face like different elements, like weather events, elements in trying to keep both the beast alive and your colony alive. Like winter will hit and stuff will get cold, your crops might freeze, and maybe this giant beast gets cold and you have to heat him up too. It just seems like a great twist on a genre that hasn't really had a great twist on it in a long time.
Yeah, and the demo is actually out now. That's what this article was saying, is that they announced the demo and it was out as they announced it. So that's another one that you can get on right now. You could play it. It is coming to Xbox as well. maybe it'll be a Game Pass game. Who knows? But it reminds me of that. What do you call it? Episode, the Futurama episode where they built
where Bender.
Yeah, Bender's the
has, and Bender's the creator. Absolutely.
And they have a nuclear war
yeah.
on them.
like it just goes. It spans the entire length of human history.
Yeah,
including like super future.
Yeah. No, game looks really good. It's another one with a really good art style as well. Those are the kinds of games that suck me in real good.
This is like if Shadow of the Colossus, like you tamed it and then built like a world on its back.
Yeah.
This is like
saying
insanity.
You're saying
this
the words
is
that
like
I like.
Saying a lot of words,
dude.
bro. So yeah, like it's almost like it's almost like Oregon Trail, where it's kind of like on this journey, and where it's going is affecting everything in your little village. Like it's just kind of going from point A to point B. And I guess you have to keep your village going and get to wherever it's trying to go. I don't know if it you know what I mean?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's like an end point, to be totally honest. I haven't. I don't know.
There has to be, because there's a finite amount of
something.
space. So
I'm just wondering,
sure?
like, I'm just thinking logistically.
Right, there's a finite amount of space on top of creature, is what you're saying.
If you lived in a world that had these, I assume, are these giant creatures or small, tiny, bitty, microscopic people? Which one is it?
It looks like a giant creature, because the trees are like trees.
Right. So you're living in this world with giant ass fucking kaijus walking around, and you want to build a world on its back. What if it, like, I don't know, goes for a fucking shower, or like, goes, like, it walks through a fucking lake,
or it wants to have another little monster with a city on its back.
Right. It's some monster boom boom going on, and
that's like one of the world events.
One of the things that you see at the very end of the trailer. One of the things that you see at the very end of the trailer is a dead one of these creatures with the remnants of an old village. So that makes me believe that, like, there's an end state here where you can die, and then maybe as you go back and start a new village, you can see how far you made it in this, like,
right. I think that's a fail state, right? That can't be the win condition.
No, that's a fail state. Yeah, for sure. That's what that looks like. But it reminds me of oh shit, in the Pokemon Detective Pikachu, the giant Torterra. Did you see Detective Pikachu? The huge Torterra that, like, they didn't realize they were standing on the back of a mega Torterra.
It, like, could go underwater and just, like,
But they're lazy, Andy. They're
what if it's
creatures.
a hot day? It's a hot ass day.
Then you gotta water it.
It needs that.
It needs that, and you need to spray it with water. Like, that's your goal as a village person.
I actually think that at the tail end of the trailer for the Xbox reveal trailer that's here, you do actually see. I can't tell what they're doing, but it seems like there's like a little contingent of men that the player sends out.
Yeah,
and it does look like they're spraying something down.
It looked like it had, like, some sort of mold growing, or like
or
some sort of fungus that they were, like, taking care of. I don't know. It looked.
This is why this is like future guest shit, because all these questions are vital and important, and they must be asked.
Yeah,
because we demand answers to the important questions. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other news they want to bring to the table?
No, I'm just really amped for that game.
I want to mention 2 games coming out this month, or is it 3? There's a lot of shit coming out this month, you guys, on the indie scene.
You're on with the whole dates thing. I'm more. I
am.
Idiot.
I believe it's May. Pull up the calendar.
Today is May.
May 20th. KO the Kangaroo comes out.
Yes.
For everything.
Yes.
And there's a preview on our website.
That's right.
I love the
an interview
out of that game. Plus, they're on the show. They're being interviewed next weekend.
Yes,
so that should be fun. Oh, by the way, they were like on the email chain. Oh, so you met our guy, so we're good? And I was like, no, we're not good. We're still doing the full show. They're like, oh, okay, fair.
They're in Poland.
I was like, did you want an out?
Are you trying not to do the podcast?
Don't you want to do, like, things?
That's enough, right? Totally enough.
So we're done, right? We're done. That's the face that they made.
Yeah.
So
right?
like we're we're done, right?
You don't have any more questions, do you?
They should have said. They shouldn't have said you met the guy. They should have been like, our guy met you. We're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met you. It's fine.
That was
okay.
the tone
It's
a
all
little
right.
bit that
Yeah.
I got from her email. She was like, "Oh, you met Sean? Oh, so you're fine, right?" And I was like,
No. We
Not at all.
We have more work to do
We have
here.
to
Yeah.
ask him whether or not he wants
Not
to
at
eat a dick flavored cake.
"Yeah."
Like, there's a lot more
No, we're gonna be
information we
asking
need from
her
him.
if she wants to eat a dick flavored cake.
Or a cake
So
flavored dick.
great game that comes out on the 20th. There's also Dwarve, which is
I am so excited for that.
Zelda
Game. Oh my
plus
god.
Tower Defense. It's like the most amazing marriage of genres ever.
It's
That's out on the 31st of the month.
Yeah, unbelievable. Weird, such a weird mix that works way better than it has any right.
Mhm. Yeah, because you don't actually build turrets. It's like you're just gonna plop them down,
Right.
and that's it. There's no like I
It's
gotta
like
gather,
it's like magic.
right, which is like with the whole Zelda vibe works flawlessly.
We'll love to see it.
I feel there's one other game that was also on the radar for the month.
I think there was something coming out the 27th.
Dolmen is coming out also, which is the sci-fi
Yes.
Dark Souls game.
Which you were awful at.
No.
Just awful.
I wasn't awful. The boss fucking wrecked me.
Right.
Wrecked my ass.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
You were so Andy, you got into a point where I felt like if you played it for 5 more minutes, you would have been escorted out of PAX.
Yes.
Like you were getting to the point where like
monitor
it was getting
or
it
can
was
I
a problem.
didn't I say I wanted to hit the developer
Yes.
at some point?
Yes, you did.
During our interview. I
Yes.
was like, I'm
he
gonna-
was
I'm gonna
standing there. He's like, I want to
like,
assault you right now.
I was like,
I kind of want to fight you.
I got inches on you, dude. You small Brazilian man. Great guy. Great
yeah,
guy.
so
I played that game with no knowledge of what it was, and I figured out that it was a Souls-like 5 minutes before the end of my demo, like that 5 minutes before I walked away. So everything was just destroying me. I was like, "Wait a minute, what is happening?"
But
right
to
now?
talk about that game a little bit, it's got an interesting mechanic where you're using ranged and melee combat a little bit kind of.
Right.
It's kind of like that Bloodborne, but the range is much more important.
So
yeah, the
it's
range
like
isn't like a parry.
the shooting portions. It's like now you're playing Dead Space with that same like kind of camera angle.
Yeah.
That like now you're just Isaac with a little.
Yeah, it's like
Cut
close in.
And
over
the
the
guns
shoulder.
are kind of like your magic. They're like your status effects. They do your elemental damages and stuff like that. So like, though I think the build you had like an ice gun, so you could shoot
It was
them.
like an ice shotgun.
Yeah, they could like freeze them, like slow them down a little bit.
Clearly,
and
you got
go
it
in.
from Chill Penguin from Mega Man X. That's where you got
Obviously,
that shotgun.
that's
That's
obviously
clearly
where that came from.
Where it came from.
Yep.
But it did need a little bit of work, so I'm concerned. It's so close to release. We're like talking like it's a month out from when.
What kind of work did
X
it
was.
need, in your opinion?
The pace at which the character walked, it was like walking on a treadmill or walking through mud.
Interesting. Okay.
It was such like even the running felt slow.
Right.
And I was like, you gotta like give me more clicks, dude, because I can't. Because we were trying to escape. It was like always being in fat roll armor mode and fucking.
That's
Dark
not
Souls.
good.
Like
That
you
is
felt
not
like you
good.
were too slow
I'm
to
like,
get
am I
away
wearing
if you
the
needed to.
wrong armor set? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the enemies are fast.
Yeah.
They are.
And the ones that they jump on you and they get bigger. if you
Yeah,
let them,
the ones that like
feed
literally
off your
latch onto
energy.
you.
Yeah.
Fuck those ones.
So that's all fucking sorts of crazy. So
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's
a
it's
little
it
bit of
leans a little
tweaking.
bit more on the horror, I think, than
right, but I'm hoping PAX East is like feedback. That's why you're here. I hope to get some then do some adjustments down the line.
Yeah.
But that's a guest for post release, so we'll see how that is.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going into our little second to last part of the show here. This is the Kickstarter of the week. Okay, this is a
Cool.
Kickstarter that is currently live right now. Right now, that I think I want to draw attention to, and I want you guys to take a look at. It's called Glory Hunters. This is a Game Boy action adventure RPG. That's right. It is a Game Boy game. It comes in a box that could play on your Game Boy. Okay. Now, I actually kickstarted a Game
love
Boy
it.
game.
I love it.
Which
Yeah, I'm with you, Andy.
Dude, you have no idea. We get so many emails about these Game Boy games on Kickstarter.
I don't know where.
I
I don't
feel
know where
like
I
there's
put
like
it.
50 of them.
It's somewhere.
I have like
so
the
many.
old like big. You remember the big, huge Game Boy case to hold your Game Boy stuff? Like it
Yep.
was physically
Yep.
a Game Boy. That is sitting on a shelf in my parents' basement right now, and I think I'm gonna pull it out to play this.
So this game is pretty much as open world as a Game Boy game will get. You could go wherever you want, discover whatever you want, and the way that the game's progression works is by doing milestones. So it's like clearing certain mobs. It's basically like the Xbox achievement system, but a Game Boy game, and that's how you progress the story.
like that.
Here's how they describe it. You obtain achievements that grant glory points. Glory points are the main currency of the game, and they are mainly used to open paths and move forward in the world. You'll find several glorious deeds that award glory points, such as gathering materials, aiding the townsfolk in various quests, or diving into dungeons and caves to defeat different kinds of mobs. Players can freely choose, where to go and discover different zones with unique minigames, enemies, and eccentric characters. You could also upgrade your health, buy more items, and even hire people to help you on your quest. You're free to spend your glory points to create your very own experience. This game is going to be available on Steam. It's going to be available on Game Boy, and they're actually giving a code, a ROM, that you can play on the Analog Pocket.
Oh, cool.
Which is a cool little thing. You can just plug it in. It's that thing with the crank on it. You could put that in and get the game to run on that as
or
well. So.
on your PC within Game Boy emulator, because that's what.
Well, yeah, but it's
Also,
also
we
it's on Steam, and you could actually play.
Yeah.
You could play the demo, which I believe is the entire first chapter, on Itch.io. So if you wanted to do that, you go to their Kickstarter page. You could play the demo right now and decide whether or not it's something you want to kickstart yourself. Right now, it has hit its goal. It's at $47,000. Their goal was $39,000, which is a weird amount, but whatever. It's probably just to get the carts made or something like that.
Right.
But it looks beautiful. The enemies look hilarious. There's a horse jousting mini game.
I saw some of that in the trailer.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like an old school Zelda meets like.
This is
I don't know.
Did you listen to the two SoundCloud tracks?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's real good.
There's trading cards for you to unlock. So if you're crazy about that kind of thing, after the game is funded, this is one of their little Kickstarter things. After the game is funded, you'll be able to play the following chapters: The Hunter, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, Chapter 5, and End of Chronicle, which is God's Revival. So they have 6 chapters essentially. I don't know. It just looks fantastic. It's Bitmat Soft is going to be making the carts. Yeah, that's basically.
I think it's kind of wild that we're seeing this like this rising up of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games from indie development.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Yacht Club is getting in on it with Midna.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a it's such an interesting niche for them to delve into, while at the same time we're really like starting to get into like the early 3D of like the late 90s with indie game development. It's such like a weird dichotomy between those two things.
I love how indie games aren't only focused on the NES aesthetic anymore. Like that particular style of pixel art and a look of a game. It's like we have things that came out after it, way after it. Things that like a Game Boy had two bits of color on the Game Boy. It's like nothing really. And there's so much room for like fun and cool shit with those palettes and systems that you can do. And not to mention PS1 and 64 type games like Turbo Overkill, which is like clearly looks like that low poly high res shit.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Trademark low poly, high quality.
Yes.
Low poly, high quality.
Yes.
I said that all weekend.
You did.
That's what we're getting right now. It's like this weird like delve into the low poly, high quality stuff.
I want to just go into their stretch goals because they're actually really cool. Each one of the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stretch goals are a new chapters. So they were able to unlock their first additional chapter called Dunes of Hope, which is basically a new locale, new storyline quest, all that stuff. And then it just goes, it's boom, it's in the game. So they have 4 more of those, and then they have a colored version of the game.
That's so neat.
You can get like a Game Boy Color.
Yeah. That's
now,
so cool.
the last one here says port, which I don't know what that means. They don't say what that port is, but I imagine maybe it's like a modern console type deal, but
oh yeah,
I don't know. But
it's
yeah,
it's only as a Game Boy game.
So they're doing Game Boy Advance. They're giving
Right.
you the ROMs that could go up on the hacked one. So Game Boy flash carts,
Right.
emulation devices, GBA for
But
Game
it
Boy Advance
won't,
flash
like
carts.
this won't be on Steam as like I can just buy it and put it in my library.
Right now, it's
That's
on
not what's
it's
gonna
on
happen.
itch.io. So
Right.
probably it'll be available either to be played in an emulator or in some form of PC version of the game, because that's what they have it running on right now on itch.io. So it's got to be something along those lines. But really cool game. I thought it caught my eye today. I thought that would be a really cool thing to spotlight. So
There is a Switch logo over that last.
I did.
port
I
thing.
saw that.
Okay.
I
All
saw
right.
that.
There's your port.
Yeah, so I
Okay,
think that's
It's
probably
the Switch port. Okay.
There's your port.
And maybe Vita. Can we get some Vita love? What do you think?
You have to get
Maybe,
over that shit.
but
dude.
I mean, I think that's dead now, Steve.
PSP?
Can I get a Wii U port as well, guys?
PS Go. Can I get it on a Game Boy Micro?
It's called PSP Go.
Can I get it on the N gauge?
Actually, you probably could.
You
play this on
probably
a Game
could.
Boy Micro.
Yeah, you probably could.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you
That's
need is
kinda
that
wild.
file. All right. So then the last section of the show is when we would be opening up the floor to listener questions. So if you want to be a part of the show, you could message us at feedback@ndspodcast.com. Put in the subject Indies Nuts question. We would love to read your questions. You could also join our Discord by being a Patreon supporter for just $1. So you get in there, patreon.com/NDS podcast again. But that is where we're going to end the show this week, our very first episode. I want to thank Matt for joining me. I want to thank Andy for joining me. This has been a fantastic first episode of Indie Nuts Podcast. Andy, let me kick it to you for any final words. Do you have anything you want to tell the kids before we go?
Yeah, just to sort of play off the whole like emailing questions. Also, game suggestions, guys. There are
Absolutely.
so many indie games, like
Absolutely.
AAA games. We know they get coverage, but like I stumbled into indie games by pure accident on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that many, or in Reddit. There's so many out there, and we can't cover them all. And they're good ones that I feel like I should know about, that we should all be playing.
Yep.
Like in Matt's case, Turbo Overkill, which we had no idea it existed.
I had not heard
Matt
anything
game
about
ever.
that game, and then it exploded into my face with
Right
that
in your
Matt
face.
game
Nisas,
that Matt had ever in his life
literally
Right
was
in
there
your
the
face.
whole time.
right in
So
my
yes,
face.
questions, suggestions, please give them all to us,
Indeed.
because we want to just celebrate all things indie on this show, and that's what we're all about.
Indeed. Matt, any final words?
No.
You said indeed.
Indeed.
Was that on purpose,
Maybe.
or like a happy accident kind of thing?
No,
It was a happy
I'm just
accident.
glad to be on the show. I hope you guys enjoy the show, and yeah, I'll be
Awesome.
here next week. Awesome.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, gamers. We love indies. Check out our store, dualscreens.com/store, where you could find some really cool indie shirts that I designed very quickly. But you could totally
and it shows.
Oh, come on. I think they're wonderful
pretty
shirts.
good. They're pretty good.
Pretty good shirts.
They're
okay?
pretty, really good.
They're pretty
They're pretty okay.
good.
They're pretty
Pretty
okay.
okay.
They are standard.
Pretty good.
And if I wore those shirts, I would be like, yeah, this is my shirt. This is a cool
Good
shirt.
Good shirt.
There's Play More Indies. That's one
Yeah.
of them.
It does say that.
I love I heart indies. That's another
Hearts
one.
them indies. Mhm.
Okay, and I'm bad at games, and I'm proud.
That's
and
just true.
yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That's a
just
great
accurate.
one. I love that
Yeah.
one. That's a
I
really.
feel
good
like
shirt.
you just made that for you to buy.
I did.
I feel like we should have that shirt when we go to conventions, and then when we start playing a game, we just
it's just known.
We put it on. Like, all right, like I was playing Rusted Moss for like.
We could put it on like a banner and just have like a banner flag and just stab it into the ground.
That's not a terrible idea.
It's like a nice surrender sign.
Bad
like,
games. I'm okay with that.
With more shame, yeah. It's most definitely.
Thank you, gentlemen. You follow us at Dualscreens at Dual_screens, I believe, on Twitter. I erased all that stuff. So
and subscribe to our YouTube. We have
Please,
we're so close to 1,000. We're so close, guys.
We can make like $1 a video now.
Help us get that dollar and change.
If you could get us to 1,000. So share the channel, youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. We record this live on twitch.tv/dualscreenstreams, by the way. So if you want to watch the show live as it's happening, ask us questions in the chat. At that point, you can do that. We love you. And as always, please be excellent to indie games.